Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be customizing this Apple White doll into a Coraline doll, specifically her raincoat look. I started off with prepping the body. I just removed the old hair from the back of the head, and then I removed the face with pure acetone. Once I sprayed the face with Mr. Super Clear and waited 30 minutes, I can go in with my watercolor pencils and start sketching in her eyes. Last year, I made a Coraline doll in her little star outfit, and I kind of made her eyes like bigger, kind of in my style. I also did a Coraline doll that was more accurate, I guess. Like, I tried to make her face a little bit more accurate. I just really like doing her face up with like big eyes and just, it's really cute to me. So I'm using chalk pastel to contour her nose and kind of try to make it look like it's kind of crooked. I'm using a pinkish color for her lip. And now that we're on the second layer, I can go in with my darker brown pencils and keep building that color. I'm of course giving her freckles with a light brown color. I don't end up making the eyes too dark. I add a little bit of black later, but I'm not pressing down as hard. I'm trying to keep my hand light, just since Coraline doesn't have makeup in the movie, so I'm trying to keep the makeup subtle. Now that we're on the last layer, I can start adding in the final details, like with the black watercolor pencils and white acrylic paint. I always use the brand Golden Fluid Acrylic Paint. I really like it. I don't have to worry about it clumping as fast, and it's just very smooth. Some colors aren't as good for building colors, but that's why I use a gesso base for some things. I'm using my white acrylic paint to paint in the scleras and give her some eye shines. I'm giving her some little blue nails. I really should have added like the poison oak to her hands, but she was gonna be holding stuff, so I wasn't like, I'll do it next year, since this won't be the last one. Is it poison ivy or poison oak? I don't really remember. Now that the face is done, we can move on. I already made her some blue yarn wefts, and I'm just going layer by layer and cutting as I go. I can also reuse some of the long strips that are cut off more towards the end, because as we get further up, the strips become shorter, so then it's just useless. Once I get to the top, I'm just making sure everything is somewhat even, and then I can fold over some wefts for her hair part. I'm just using a hair straightener to fold those over. For me, I just find it's a little bit easier for me to fold them over first and then put them on, since whenever I would like glue them on, wait for it to dry, and then fold it over, I never could make it look good, I guess. Once that's fully dry, I can go in with a glue and mix with a little bit of black to give her hair a little bit more shading. Now that we're done with her hair, we can move on to her outfit. I already painted stripes on her socks, and then I also painted red stripes on her orange shirt pattern pieces. I just have to hem the sock patterns, and then I just sewed it directly onto her legs since I feel like it is a better shape and it just looks better. I'm using the wrong side of this fabric for her skirt. I also tinted it a little bit red and I think it turned out really cute. I'm just making a long sleeve shirt that's somewhat of it's not a turtleneck, but it doesn't have like any type of like neckline that's like deep. I ended up having to remake her raincoat since I originally was going to have it open in the back, but I had to make it so it closed in the front. I'm using these old Venus shoes from Generation 3. I cut them and added a little bit of clay and then painted those with gesso, and I'm going in with yellow to paint her shoes. I also ended up painting a little bit of dirt on the bottom of her shoes. I made this little tiny base just from leftover epoxy. I just like having like something to sculpt over, especially because sometimes if air dry clay is really thick, like it'll just take a really long time to dry. So I'm basically sculpting the head, the body, the legs, and the arms separately. I made like these little, I guess like little markers where the legs will be. And I made little wire feet, and then I just shoved the wire in between the clay. So the foot had a little bit more strength since it's so tiny. I didn't want to just break off. Just a little bit of clay to blend that in and give it some strength. I'm just using this silicone tool. Once I have the legs sculpted, I'm just sculpting on the arms. The arms are a lot more simple. I'm just having them lay at the sides, and I'm blending in the shoulder. I'm also using a little bit of wire to embed the head into the body, and then I'm using a little bit of clay for the neck. Once that dries a little bit, I can add a little bit of detail for the raincoat. I added little tiny ears, a little nose. I also sculpted the little buttons on her face. Once that was completely dry, I just buffed it a little bit, and I'm going in with my Titan Mars Pale, painting her face and hands. Once that's dry, I went in and painted her raincoat yellow. Her outfit is kind of a matching top and then a black skirt with black striped socks. This is my second time making a little Coraline doll, so I wanted to try to give it a little bit more detail and try to put more sculpting into the face and just more details overall. I handmade a little bag for her. I didn't record that since it was my first time making a bag like this. If I do it again, I'll make sure to record that. Once the paint is completely dry, I can go in with a matte varnish and just seal the paint. I'm using leftover wefts from Coraline, and I'm basically cutting off the glue part since it's too bulky and gluing it directly on there, and then once it's dry I can cut it. You can also see her little dragonfly pin. I made her little ghost eyes last minute. Here she is. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more spooky dolls.